The restaurant carried a soft hum of voices that melted together with the faint sound of silver against porcelain and the gentle chime of glasses raised in quiet toasts. Candles flickered on every table, their flames leaning slightly in the breeze of the air vents above, throwing shadows across navy linens and dark wooden booths. Haley stepped through the door, hesitating at the threshold, her fingers tightening around the thin strap of her small purse. The bell above her rang too loudly, announcing her entrance in a way that made her cheeks warm. She smoothed her hands down the sides of her dress, a pearl-colored vintage piece fitted neatly at the waist, its edges fraying slightly from time it had belonged to her mother. She had worn it only once before the day she graduated from college, and tonight it felt less like fabric and more like armor, a fragile protection against the loneliness she carried. She had curled her blonde hair carefully in the mirror of her tiny apartment earlier that day, her hands trembling as she applied makeup with brushes that had long since lost their bristles. She had used the last of her mascara dabbed on soft pink lipstick and hoped it would be enough. Her reflection had looked back with wide eyes, filled with both fear and determination. She was not used to this. She was not used to believing that something could go right for her. The hostess greeted her with a smile. "Reservation for Haley?" She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "Yes." "Haley," replied. She followed the hostess to a small table by the window, where the soft glow of an overhead lamp fell like a spotlight, as if waiting for a story to unfold. Haley sat carefully, placing her purse in her lap. Her knees pressed close together. She glanced at her phone. It read 6:45, 15 minutes early. She told herself this was good. It gave her time to breathe, to prepare to hope again. The man she was meeting had seemed kind online. His name was Aaron. He had messaged her gently without pressure, his words short but thoughtful. He had suggested this restaurant, and though it was more elegant than anything she had ever visited, she had agreed. It had taken her months to say yes. Years, really. Because deep down trust was a fragile thing, for her. Not far from her table, a man in a charcoal suit sat with a glass of scotch. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp. Ethan Blake, CEO, single father and a man who had grown used to silence, watched the young woman by the window. Something in her reminded him of a time when hope had still felt possible. He had left a long meeting that afternoon, yet instead of carrying tension, he carried memory. The way she smoothed her dress, the way her eyes darted toward the door again and again, touched something in him. 15 minutes passed. Haley shifted in her chair, glancing at the entrance each time someone walked in. 30 minutes passed. Her phone remained silent. Then she scrolled through the last message he had sent earlier that day. "Can't wait to see you tonight." She smiled at it again, holding on to the possibility until it slipped away at 7:15. She typed, "Hey, I'm here, just checking in." No response at 7:30. She called. It rang once, voicemail. A server approached gently. "Miss Wood, you like to order? We are filling up." Haley blinked. "Oh, I am waiting for someone, just a little longer." The server nodded and walked away. Haley opened her purse. Inside lay a folded $5 bill, her emergency money. She had only $50 to spend tonight. She had not planned to order much, maybe a tea, maybe nothing. If the man arrived, he would surely order something. Maybe he would share a meal. Maybe this time it would be different. Her phone buzzed a message. She opened it. Her heart stuttered. The word stung. "Wow, you actually went? I was just messing with you. Sorry, you're not really my type, not worth the Uber." Then another message. "You seem nice, but seriously, you thought I was coming." The screen blurred. She blinked hard. Her throat tightened, but she would not cry. She could not cry. Not here. She straightened her spine, every muscle taut as if holding her together. People laughed around her. Waiters moved quickly. Glasses chimed. But for her, it all dissolved into static. She clutched the napkin in her lap, her fingers trembling. Ethan saw her place the phone face down. He had not read the words, but he recognized the posture, the color fading from her cheeks, the quiet battle between breaking and holding on. He knew it because he had once sat waiting too, not for a date, but for belief that he was enough. Haley sat still, her hands shaking around the napkin. She wanted to vanish, to fold into nothingness. But the restaurant continued to buzz. Her hunger gnawed at her belly. She had only been drinking water. Her eyes flicked toward the server station, measuring how long she could sit before she would be asked to leave. She reached for her coat slowly, every motion heavier than it should have been. She stood her purse already. In her hand, she turned toward the door. Before she could step away, a server appeared with a plate, warm, fragrant pasta, and a glass of lemonade. "Excuse me, miss, your order." Haley blinked, confused. "I didn't order this." The server smiled. "It was taken care of. Your tab has been covered." Her heart seized. Was this another cruel joke? Her brows furrowed. She looked around, uncertain. Then a calm voice spoke from behind it. "Not charity. It's a reminder you deserve to eat even if the world tells you otherwise." Ethan stood, one hand resting on the chair back, his eyes steady, not pitying, not mocking, simply honest. He pulled out the seat across from hers and sat. Silence stretched. Haley stared at him, unsure. His suit was sharp, his watch expensive. He looked like a man she would never expect to notice her yet. His gaze was not cold, his words lingered. "Take care of your stomach before you try to take care of someone's heart," she whispered. "You did not have to do that, I know," he replied. She hesitated. "You don't know me true, but I saw enough. What exactly did you see?" "Someone who showed up. Someone who hoped, someone who waited longer than she should have, not out of desperation, but because she believed that still matters." Her throat tightened. Tears pricked her eyes, though she forced them back. She lifted her fork, finally tasting the food warmth spreading through her. It was the first proper meal she had eaten in days. Ethan leaned back, watching quietly. Not with interest of a man pursuing, but with recognition of a soul who had fought too long. When the dinner ended, he stood sliding a small card across the table. "I come here often for coffee, not company," he said, and left without pressure. A week later, Haley entered a cafe near her college. The smell of roasted beans filled the air. She fumbled with her worn coin purse at the counter when a familiar voice said, "Make that too." She turned. Ethan sat in the corner, sleeves rolled up, laptop. Open, calm smile. He handed her a cup. "You remembered my name?" she whispered. "I remembered your courage. Name was the easy part," he replied. They sat together talking of coffee, preferences, childhood snacks, and mistakes at work. Ethan told her of a failed campaign that turned into a viral joke. She laughed. For the first time in days, it felt light, real. When she stood to leave, he did not push. He only smiled, nodded, and let her go. And as she walked away, she realized she was smiling, not because she was rescued, but because she was remembered. Time moved forward. Haley found herself at a nutrition workshop invited personally by Ethan. The fee waived with no strings attached. She asked questions, her voice clear, her curiosity genuine. The presenter praised her insights. Ethan watched from the back, struck by her care. Later at the library, she ran into him again, this time with a small girl in a yellow dress. Lily, his daughter, shy. At first she peeked at Haley, then whispered, "She smells like mommy." Ethan froze, grief shadowing his features. Haley crouched, smiling softly. "Your mommy must have smelled like kindness," she said. Lily nodded. Ethan blinked back, tears. After that, Haley became a quiet part of their days. She picked up Lily when the nanny was unavailable, read her 2 stories before bed, never 1, never 3. Ethan began to lean on Haley, not out of desperation, but because her presence made life steadier. She never pried into his grief, and he never questioned her struggles, but small moments stitched them closer. One evening, Lily fell ill. Ethan juggled work and worry until Haley arrived with remedies. She pressed a lavender towel to Lily's forehead and hummed a lullaby. Ethan froze. It was the same lullaby his wife once sang. His knees buckled, tears falling. Haley's voice trembled, but she kept singing when the song ended. Ethan whispered she used to sing that every night. I thought Lily had forgotten. Haley looked down at the child asleep against her and murmured, "Children, never forget love." The silence stretched between them, a silence full of truth. Haley stayed with Lily until dawn. Ethan watched her gently brushing Lily's hair, his heart heavier yet lighter than it had been in years in that fragile moment. There were no promises, no confessions, only recognition. 2 souls, scarred by loss, by loneliness, by disappointment, finding in each other not rescue but a mirror of courage. And though nothing was said, the night carried the quiet certainty that beginnings often arrive in the shape of small kindnesses, that a meal, shared a song, remembered a hand steadying another, can be enough to change the course of lives.